All right, so if we could start off with your name and where you're from.
Sure. Yeah, my name is Mike Apfelberg, and I am with the United Way of Greater Nashua. I'm actually the president of the organization in Nashua, New Hampshire.
Awesome. So what kind of ways does United Way benefit the community?
Yeah, so generally, in any other year, we are a support backbone for all of the nonprofits in the community. We help the organizations that are our partners with grants and helping their programs to run more effectively, and also are the facilitators of a number of different community initiatives, such as immigrant integration and early childhood education. So we're a backbone organization for a number of those types of broader initiatives. This year, of course, with the pandemic, everything changed. Everything stayed the same and everything changed. So we continue to do all of the things that we normally have done, but our focus on supporting our nonprofit community partners changed in that really it shifted to doing whatever we could to support them to continue to serve their clients, which over time has included everything from helping them to find PPE to actually becoming the major distributor in the community for PPE. For example, since March, we are, as an organization, have distributed over 200,000 face masks and over 500 gallons of hand sanitizer. We've also made over 50 emergency grants to our nonprofit partners to help them to shift to things like remote supports and remote services or emergency deep cleanings that they needed, those types of things.
Yeah.
We also got very involved with food supports. We became the partner with the school district for distributing free school breakfasts and lunches. Ultimately, we distributed over 90,000 breakfasts and lunches to local kids. We are helping with remote learning, distributing wireless hotspots. We've already distributed over 400 Wi-Fi hotspots to help kids get online. That's connected over 800 kids to the internet who weren't otherwise online. We've refurbished and distributed over 500 laptops to a lot of those same kids. So we're doing a lot of things, pretty much anything and everything where there's a gap in services that we can address. That's where we're stepping in and trying to do whatever we can. Most recently, we're helping with our volunteers. We've recruited over 60 volunteers to help with coronavirus vaccinations and testing. Awesome. So we're everywhere where it is needed. And that's sort of different for us as an organization. We're used to a little bit more being the backbone organization, but a little bit more in the background. Now we're very much in the foreground in the community.
Yeah, it's great to hear how much you guys have pivoted, because I remember talking to you last time and I was hearing all these awesome things that you were doing. And it's not that they're any less important, but now you've had to, like, you're completely right. We've had to switch to COVID, the big thing that has to be tackled. And so it's really good to hear that you guys have been helping out, not just casting like a really wide net and trying to help as many people as you can. I'm really impressed with all of those avenues that you guys have been going, trying to help everybody.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely. How has like fundraising been? Because I know that you count on that a little bit. How's that been?
Yeah, so fundraising's been, of course, challenge. It's challenge for every nonprofit in the community. And it's a challenge. In my mind, it's not necessarily been a challenge in terms of the ability to hold necessarily events. We have had to cancel events that were fundraisers or reschedule them or change them, like our current Blizzard Blast, which we're going to talk about, is very different than it had been in years past. But the big challenge in fundraising is more the ability to grab the public's attention, because people are really so focused on day to day, and that's, we had a very tumultuous political year. We obviously also have had the pandemic, and these things are very much the attention that draws people in.
Yep.
So when you approach somebody about, fundraising opportunities, they're much more likely to just be distracted, and it gets a little bit lost in the noise. But our fundraising has been pretty successful. Our annual appeal was very strong. We have a lot of people who are appreciative for the work that we've done in stepping up. Of course, we had to cancel our big Over the Edge event last year, which is where we rappel off of a very tall building. And this year, we've scheduled that now for August. So we're pretty excited about that. Blizzard Blast, we of course totally changed up, but we still did back in June for the very first time, we did a skydiving fundraiser. And we've never done that before. And I don't know many people that actually do skydiving fundraisers.
No.
But I did it, and it was amazing. It was a brand new fundraiser, and it raised over $20,000. So
I think that's something really impressive that you guys do is like you say, it's hard to kind of stand out with all of the noise. And I think certainly rappelling from the side of a building and skydiving are great ways to really get the eyes that you need. I think that's huge.
Yeah, Blizzard Blast is the same thing. People are like, oh, an obstacle course race, blah, blah, blah. And then we say, well, it's an obstacle course race in the winter.
Yeah.
And it's in New England. Mm-hmm. And then you've got their attention. Of course, this is very different this year as an event, but in general, we like it because it is so different. And one of the things I like about the difference of our events is I'm committed not to do things that compete with our partners in the community.
Yeah.
Lots of people do a golf tournament, an annual gala, your typical 5K, those kinds of things. And we really don't want to do those because it would ultimately hurt our partners. And that's kind of cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And Caitlin was noticing that all the fundraising proceeds benefits the COVID-19 community response team. So is that what you were saying before with like the gallons and gallons of hand sanitizer and the masks, or what does that mean?
It's overall our response, whatever the response has lots of different aspects to it. It's everything from, vetting and background checking volunteers to do school tutoring and recruiting those volunteers also to do things like vaccine administration or food distribution. Those are also, it's expensive, takes time to do that work. People think volunteers are free. Volunteers are not free. Volunteers cost actually a lot of money, because you got to get them, you got to keep them, you got to train them, and you got to, check on them a little bit. Yeah. So there's that. There's, every time we purchase a Wi-Fi hotspot to give to a kid, that's another $350, $400 because you have to pay for the data for a year. You can see how that would add up. If you've got $400 a pop and you've distributed 400 hotspots, that becomes real money real fast. So it's just supporting overall the work. And I don't know what that work is going to look like over the next 6 months, but we do know that it's going to exist, and it's going to be whatever it is what we're going to do. The emergency grants we made, we hadn't planned on making emergency grants, but each of those was $1,000 to a local nonprofit. So we made 55 of those. That's easy math, right? And that's so it's important that we support that fund.
Yeah, and again, like all the importance in pivoting your mission statement and everything. That's awesome. How can people best support you guys? Like if they haven't been familiar with you guys, like what's something that they can do to help you?
Well, there's lots of ways in which they can support us as volunteers, just getting involved. If you go to our website, which is unitedwaynashua.org, and you click on, well, first of all, you're going to get a little pop-up that's going to come up right now that says Blizzard Blast. You click on that, it'll take you right to the event, and you can see how you can support that. Frankly, if somebody just wants to make a donation to our COVID fund, they can donate right to our Blizzard Blast. And they can pick a runner, they can pick a team, or they can just make a general donation, and that's where the money would go. So obviously, we're looking for financial support. We're also looking for volunteers. Behind that little pop-up is a big red button that says COVID-19 response efforts, and you can see all of the different efforts that we've got going on. A lot of those require volunteers. I'll give one example. Since the very beginning of the pandemic, we started a program which is basically volunteer grocery shopping for people who are homebound and perhaps quarantined. So we have a system that we set up where you can go online, you can place an order for groceries, and a volunteer will get that order from us and go do your shopping and bring it to you. And so that's kind of a totally unique kind of volunteering that people don't normally do, but super important. And that works for people, whether there's an option to pay for your groceries if you're a person who's just doing this because you can't get to the store because of your current circumstances, or if you can't pay for your groceries and you're somebody who would normally pay by way of, maybe your SNAP benefits, using your EBT card, you could still do it that way. So there's lots of ways to volunteer and support us, and it's all right there on our COVID page. Easiest way to connect with us after you find something that's interesting is send us a quick email. We have an info email hotline that we set up, so people can just remember info@unitedwaynashua.org. Awesome. And I'll get that email along with several of my colleagues, and depending upon the inquiry, one of us will respond.
Perfect. And I'll try to put links down below too. So if anyone's interested in that, I highly encourage you to, if you want more people helping, be those people that are helping. So I couldn't recommend that more.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Mark.
So yeah, of course. Let's get to Blizzard Blast though. So this is your third or fourth year partnering with Blizzard Blast?
Yeah, so this was going to be our third year running the Blizzard Blast, and it was originally going to be this weekend. It's always been the weekend, and it will always be the weekend. Traditionally, I've said, when people say, when is it? I say, it's the weekend after the Patriots win the AFC Championship and before they win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So this year, I would say it's the weekend after Tom Brady wins the NFC Championship and before he wins the Super Bowl, which feels simultaneously strange and familiar.
Yes.
But that's a deliberately chosen time frame. When we got to November, December, and we were really deeply into planning the event, it just became clearer and clearer to us that there was going to be no good way for us to run this event in a way that would feel safe.
Yeah.
We did feel that we could run it in a way that, in fact, was safe. Yeah. But we started to have more people, reaching out and saying, I'm not comfortable, or I can't travel. I'm from out of state. We have a lot of people from out of state that participate in this event. A lot of people from Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, Maine, who travel here and couldn't because of quarantine rules. So we talked with Smith Fest Events, who is the behind the scenes planner for the course. And we said to them, look, let's not run the event this year. Let's put it off till next year. And then we as a group said, but we've got to do something. And so we changed the event to being more of a challenging virtual run. And so it's over a period of a week, starts today. We have 101 people signed up right now, and they've already raised about $21,500.
Awesome.
There's no fee to participate. Traditionally, Blizzard Blast, like other OCRs, you pay your fee, you get your medal, you get your t-shirt, that kind of thing. Here, it's a pure fundraiser. If you don't raise anything, you just want to run the course, you run the course. But if you want to fundraise, we have different levels that we've set up. If you raise $75, you get a snazzy t-shirt like the one I'm wearing. I'll stand up.
Nice.
And show you. This is the Blizzard Blast
very cool
t-shirt. It's 1 second.
Yeah.
So it was a little uncomfortable. When I scooted back in my chair, I noticed static discharge in my ear coming over my headphones. So I actually got a little bit of an electrocution, which is not a good thing, man. And I think that's because of this t-shirt. So, so you raise $75, you get a t-shirt. You raise $150, you get a swag bag full of all sorts of goodies that we've collected. But the idea is we've partnered with about 21 different nonprofits in the community.
Yeah.
You run the course, and along the course, you'll stop at one of these nonprofits along the way. And at each nonprofit, we've set up little challenges that you can do. So you're going to go to an agency, you're going to check in, do a little selfie, learn what they do at that agency, promote them a little bit on, say, Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, and do some high steps or do some lunges or do some whatever it is that they've set up. We left it up to each of the agencies to decide.
Fine.
And then you're going to run to the next course. We have 5 courses that we've set up as options. There are 2 5Ks, there's 2 10Ks, and then there's a half marathon.
Okay.
The half marathon length actually goes to all 21 agencies. So that's a really cool little course. But the 5Ks might only hit 4 or 5 agencies. Every course starts and stops at our United Way building, and you can run it anytime during the week. But you're going to want to come to us first to check in. We do ask everybody to check in, get your goodies, sign our waiver, and then run it whenever you want. Self-timed. If you care about your time and you want to be recognized for it, send me an email and we'll put you on the database. And then in about 2 weeks, we're going to have a little live online virtual sort of party to recognize teams, sponsors, and runners.
I like that a lot. It's everyone is doing virtual events now, but when I first heard about this a while ago and we covered it as a quick news story to draw attention to it, it's so unique in that it's being run by an organization that's trying to help. So how are you going to make this a virtual event? Let's have people learn about other organizations. And I think it's really smart that you were able to incorporate that and make the distance so scalable, right? Like personally, I'm not allowed to leave the state. So unfortunately, even though you guys like right up there, I can't leave Massachusetts. So, but it's really cool that like I would want to do the half marathon distance, and Kate, then my girlfriend would probably want to do the 5K distance. And it's nice that they have those options.
Yeah, I should say, since we've made it so flexible, I actually do have out-of-state participants who've come to me and said, how can I participate in my own community? And I've said to them, look, sign up on the event and run to a couple of nonprofits in your community. If you feel like you can run, a couple miles, run 3 miles and run a 5K, go to your soup kitchen, go to your agency that is a homeless shelter, go to your food pantry, go to your agency that helps people who are recovering from substance use disorder. Check in there, talk about what they do 25 burpees, run to the next one. I don't care. Yeah. It doesn't really matter. If you raise money, great. If you don't, have fun with it.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And like you said too, it's not so much that it would have been a dangerous event, but sometimes like appearance is reality sometimes. So I think it's smart that you were able to kind of sit down and realize like people just may not feel comfortable. And I think that's
absolutely. No, absolutely.
When did you guys make the decision to kind of go virtual for this?
I have to say it was before Christmas. It was between Thanksgiving and Christmas that we decided to do that. It was about the same time as like we were really, really deeply into the planning for the event. And we had laid out a sort of, for example, a starting block scenario where we had people socially distanced in a pen, no closer than 6 feet from each other. We were going to have everybody required to wear a mask at any point where they were on the course, especially in places where they couldn't socially or physically distance themselves. We were going to have hand sanitizing stations after every obstacle. We were going to shut down every obstacle for a quick cleaning every 15 minutes. Nice. Those are the type. All the registration was going to be outdoors. It would have been a safe event, but there's still always the perception. And the thing is, not just the perception about the runners, that concerned me less than the public messaging. And we are a public health organization. We've been promoting a message about the importance of working together and supporting each other and staying safe and staying healthy, doing the right things, caring for your neighbor. And it just felt like that message was going to get lost if we pushed forward with this event.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. You wouldn't want to look like a hypocrite, even though you are taking the proper safety precautions. And I used to work with Fred Smith building the events like a long time ago too. And I know all the work that goes into it. And I can't even imagine the additional work that goes into it to try to make it a safe event. So I think it was probably a good call to transition there. So,
well, I will say that said, we've already scheduled with Smith Fest for Blizzard Blast 2022.
Awesome.
We've signed a contract. We've already arranged, some of the payments. We're already got the planning underway. So anybody who hears this who says, I love the virtual event, but I had a lot of people say, I don't want to participate in a virtual event. I want to be in the real Blizzard Blast. I get that. It's a fun event. It will be back, in that same time weekend next year, 2022, when we've all got all of this in our rearview mirror.
Exactly. And OCR is like a big part of my life. I love fitness and running and everything, but you kind of have to look at like the grand scale of things, and like
Right.
it's bigger things we got to worry about. Once we get past this, absolutely bring back the event, and then we'll have an even better time there. There'll be hugs, there'll be everything, but
Yep, absolutely.
we'll have to get there. So again, we were talking about some of the nonprofits that you guys are going to. How difficult was it to have the course designed to go to so many points?
Well, that's a really, really good question. So one of my volunteers, and I should say this is essentially everything we do is volunteer driven. Even when we run Blizzard Blast, it's basically volunteers on the course who help us to run the event. So one of the volunteers on my planning team happens to be the director of the Regional Planning Commission.
Okay.
And he's also a runner. And he has access, as part of the Regional Planning Commission, he also has access to some pretty sophisticated mapping software. So I said to Jay, his name's Jay, would you mind being the one to lay out the course? And he said, I'd be glad to. And I said, I'll pick the nonprofits based on my knowledge of Nashua and give you a rough idea of what I think the courses might be. And you can kind of fine tune it from there. So I sort of laid out in my head, where are our agencies? Where are they in the community? And drew him a couple of rough maps, and then he laid it out from there. It wasn't difficult. We didn't have any nonprofits say, I don't want to participate, because they're all getting a lot of great publicity from this. One of the things I would say it's unique is we also have a couple of agencies that have actually set up their own teams. And what I said with them is, if you set up your own team, the money you raise, we'll give back to you. So they're actually setting up a little mini fundraiser for themselves.
That's a good incentive, yeah.
Yeah, so, which is cool. It wasn't that difficult, actually, but it would have been impossible if I didn't have somebody that knew what they were doing.
Yeah, sometimes it's not what you know, but who you know, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that you know somebody who knows something.
Yes, of course. And so do you want to give a shout out to, I know there's a lot of them, you don't have to list all the agencies, but if you want to list some of the agencies that you guys are involved with.
Yeah, I would. And I'd love to give a shout out to a couple of our sponsors as well, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so I would tell you the big sponsors that I really want to give a huge shout out to are St. Joseph's Hospital, that's been a sponsor of Blizzard Blast for the last 2 years. Them and their mobile health clinic are big sponsors. This year, we also have Service Credit Union as a big sponsor, and they came on board and have been really great to work with. And now I'm drawing a blank. I'm going to come back to it, I think, in a minute.
Fine. No problem. Yeah, I can edit it all together. So.
But and they're also listed on our page. We also have a number of I was going to say United Healthcare. So those are the three big sponsors. That's exciting. We have some other sponsors that are, like, one sponsor, Joyce Cooling and Heating, is sponsoring our little hand sanitizers that we're giving everybody.
Cool.
Which is great. Mint Printing is sponsoring our T-shirts, and Law Logistics is sponsoring our map. So that's pretty cool. As far as the nonprofit partners in the community, there are so many of them, and they're all listed on our website, I would say. But the Adult Learning Center is an agency that helps people to, with continuing education and things like getting your GED or your high-set degree, and helping people to further the education in their adult years. The Boys and Girls Club, of course, we have a lot of youth agencies that are participating in the Boys and Girls Club, the Police Athletic League, Girls Incorporated, the Youth Council. Those are all youth agencies that are participating. We have a number of agencies in the homeless line of business who are helping us. It's the Nashua Soup Kitchen and Shelter is a partner. The Front Door Agency is a partner. They have their own team, which is great.
Nice.
Family Promise is a partner. We have some food services folks, the Salvation Army, the Corpus Christi Food Bank. They're partners of ours. One organization, Bridges Domestic and Sexual Violence, is our local agency that works with families who have experienced domestic and sexual violence, and they're a partner. The Greater Nashua Dental Connection does low-income dental services, and which is so important. And people don't often realize this, but the number one reason, other than a pandemic, The number one reason why a child is likely to miss a day of school in this country is for an untreated toothache.
That's interesting. Yeah.
It's huge. So they're a great agency. Gateways Community Services is an agency that also has a team, and they work with people who are medically fragile and low income, children who have autism, developmental disabilities. A really fantastic agency. What else?
That one in particular, like hits close to home because that's what I do for work. I help with autistic kids, so that's really cool too.
That's fantastic. My wife used to work in that part of their agency, and she was a counselor that worked with autistic children. She still works for them, but now she works with seniors who are homebound and medically frail. Another agency that we're working with that's on the course is Revive Recovery. They work with adults who are recovering from substance use disorder. Gosh, that might be close to all of them, but it's just a great group of partners.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like kind of takes you're taking the village to create the event to support the village. I think it's really, really unique what you guys are doing. And we also
I will be honest, we're probably going to do this event again. We're not going to call it the Blizzard Blast ever again because it won't be the same as the Blizzard Blast, but it's been hard to get the event planned because we're inventing it from scratch. And I've kind of felt a little bit like, you were building the plane while you're flying it at the same time. But now that we've got it in place, we really do like the event and the community feel to it. It probably won't be as much of a virtual event, with a do it whenever you want kind of a feel. Yeah. But as a winter run, we might do it maybe next year. We do it a month before or a month after the actual Blizzard Blast. Kind of like the Boston Athletic Association. They have the marathon, right? Mm-hmm. But they also have the Tough Ruck. And the Tough Ruck is, have you done the ruck?
I have, yeah. It was brutal, but awesome.
My son-in-law did the ruck, and I was so impressed. But and they go hand in hand, and they help to promote one another. And we might be doing something like that.
I think that's a great idea. Personally, that's something that I would definitely attend to next year. And you're right; it's so unique, and it's not stepping on your own toes. It's different enough that I would want to do both, and I definitely would register for both. I think that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And not everybody's favorite thing is fundraising. And so that's why we've said, this is one of those things like you don't raise any money. That's fine. You just want a t-shirt and you don't want to raise money, then you donate $75 on your own. But we have several people that have raised over $1,000 from their, awesome. Friends and family, and they're just totally committed. So it's kind of whatever works for you.
That's great. And another aspect was we noticed that you were able to get creative with the awards. Can you tell us a little bit about how you came up with the different awards?
Well, like everything on this, I have creative people on our planning team who I said very basically, you guys do whatever you want. I'm not going to say no to anything, except things that cost me a lot of money because it's a fundraiser. Yes. And they just got creative with different, things for teams and individuals as far as the awards go. But it was just having creative people on the team that they came up with that.
Yeah, some of the ones that my girlfriend wrote down were youngest participant, the most senior participant, best overall social media post, biggest first responder team, biggest corporate team, most spirited team. I think that's really awesome because it's even more incentives to get creative, like push hard here, and
exactly.
It doesn't matter your age, get involved, right?
Right, absolutely. And we have some really creative runners, and we have some really competitive runners as well. And and they're not just competitive in terms of I can do the most burpees, in the Western Hemisphere. They're competitive in terms of I can wear the craziest outfit and do the most posts on Facebook. It's funny how the competitiveness kicks in lots of different ways.
Yeah, no, that's true. A tricky part with the competitive side of the virtual event specifically. So I think you guys have awards for like fastest course time. How are you guys going to keep track of that and make sure
self-reporting
cheating? Okay.
Oh yeah, somebody's going to cheat. I mean, absolutely. Look, I'm going to drive the half marathon. Now that's because I got to go to, I want it next week. I want to go to every single location, do a check-in, do a Facebook post and like that. But I'm not a marathon runner. I got to tell you that right now. I will run one of the 5Ks, but I'm going to drive the half marathon. Now, if I reported that I drove the half marathon and I did the half marathon in like, 45 minutes, I would obviously win the race. I'm not going to do that. So it's all self-reported. I don't know. We don't have categories for, like with Blizzard Blast, you've got different age groups, you've got by gender, where it's actually with a timing chip and a positive check-in for that. We're not doing that. This is all self-reported. I'm hoping that people just kind of
don't cheat. I would like to think that if people are doing this fundraising event, that they're the kind of person that would not engage in that kind of behavior. So
you would hope so. But I've just basically said, if you want your time recorded in some way or another, then shoot me an email. Tell me which course you ran and what day you ran and what your time was.
Yeah, I think it's at least good to have that option out there. I think that's the point.
For sure. Absolutely.
So we can start to wrap up here. Again, push one more time for the importance of volunteering and fundraising, because I know that what you guys do is fantastic work. And again, I just want to push out there that people should get involved, even if you're not in the area, donate, because you're good people helping good people.
Well, I mean, I will say this, since the beginning of the pandemic, we've had over 800 volunteers helping out with our COVID response. They have done everything from, handing bags of food to kids, to teaching those same kids in a tutoring environment, to helping to run logistics for vaccination clinics, to, working in a weekly pop-up food pantry, and you name it, just tons of different stuff. We've logged over 12,000 volunteer hours in that same period of time. Awesome. And so the way, if somebody is interested in getting involved, I can guarantee you that we have some way for them to get involved. Of course, the funds we're raising are extremely important because they help the community to get through these times. And in particular, for us to support the agencies that are our partners in the community. That's really critical. We make grants. We've always made grants to local partners. And one of the things I'm very proud of is that because of the fundraising we've been able to do, we haven't missed a beat on any of that either, in addition to the other funds that we've been able to put out there. And that's really critical because these are tough times for a lot of agencies.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember one of the events, one of the things that you guys did that kind of stuck in my head, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you had like a Mother's Day event where you would have like flowers sent to mothers that may not have been able to like afford stuff, and just like a nice thank you, like giving back to the community that way, right?
We did that this year, right in the middle of the pandemic too. We didn't miss a beat on our Mother's Day roses. It was hard. It was really hard because we had to find a different florist, and because the program basically got dropped by all of the big organizers that we were part of it, and we said, for us, it's never been, that was never a fundraiser. That was really show the homeless moms in our community the love. And so we raised a little money, and we had a whole bunch of volunteers, and we bought a whole bunch of roses, and we packaged them up into little bouquets, and we delivered them, and it was fantastic. So yeah, it's just we're the sort of agency that we're gonna kind of I'm thinking about changing our tagline to basically just like whatever it takes.
Yeah,
whatever it takes. Where's the gap? That's where we'll be.
I love that. You should be very proud of yourself and your organization, because it's just impressive how much you guys have been able to tackle it successfully, it sounds. So I'm very happy to hear about that. Well, so I'm actually thinking I'll put this episode a little bit earlier out and kind of hope people like listen to this. Like it's still the middle of the week. Let me get on this. Because is there a time where it's, I don't want to say it's too late to donate, but like when does kind of fundraising for Blizzard Blast end?
Yeah, I'll probably leave it open for about a week. Usually any kind of an online event, I usually leave it open for a week or so after the event. And so that our participants can go back and say, like I did the thing last week. It was really great. The money I raised and continue to raise supports the community in this way. So I would say, next Saturday is the last day of the event to run it. It'll stay open that week. Friday of that week at noon is our online sort of gratitude event.
And of course, once that ends too, they can donate directly to you guys anyway, and it's just as important.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And anything you put up, please send me the link, and I'll share it on our social media as well, because we, obviously really appreciate the shout outs.
Yeah, that'd be great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. It's great talking to you again, and stay safe out there and keep doing what you're doing, man.
All right, you as well, Michael. We'll see you next year too.
Absolutely.